Alright, that was the intro, so let's just start. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles by Ultra Games, which is to say by Konami. But when this game was made, Nintendo had a bit of policy about not wanting any developer make too many games to a Super Nintendo to the 8-bit Nintendo Entertainment System. So but Konami wanted to make more, so they basically established that another company that hey, this ain't our company, this ain't us, this is Ultra Games. So that's it. So there's two starting with that. There's two state, and this was one of the games that I did have when I was a junior, and this is from the new Kawabunga collection. But I am not. This is from the new Kawabunga collection. But I'm playing it. But I did own this originally, and I did play through it also as all original hardware. And I would say that it was hard. This game gets very hard, but it doesn't start hard. But in any case, this is the overworld map. There's a chance to walk around or get possibly squished by that land rover, steamroller, or go to sewers, as tends to be a lot. So you have 4 turtles, of course, because there's 4 of them. They all are a bit different, although in practical sense not. And this is Leonardo, of course, with his fancy swords. Then with a switch, it's possible there's a map showing the overworld and switch characters with a lovely color coding. So let's just put on my favorite, Raffaello. There's even a mini boss. Basically all walk around differently, but they all have a bit different attack and of course different color to really show you that, yep, that's it. And I would say that because this game is from this era, the balancing is not, you could say, perfect because of you could say, in a sense that Raffaello and Michelangelo, they are both very much, you could say, just you're gonna just use them as a meat shields because their weapons are nothing spectacular. And Donatello is the best because in this game, not my personal favorite because of his staff is just ludicrously good, and there's a little bit of a glitch. Yep, I can strike through the bottom of the screen. It's just this game's got quite a lot of this kind of janks, and although Donatello's bit different, slight difference is the fact that he can't strike ground enemies without ducking, but reach is and his basic attack is very slow. And also when you strike, he's gonna do a little bit of a, you could say, strike behind his back, and I think I'm gonna be able to demonstrate it here against Bebop. Yep, you can see Donatello can even hit behind him. Oh yeah, and that already put down the first you could say mini boss, Bebop of Rocksteady, which is usually well, it would be later that it would usually be Rocksteady would be the first boss, but in this game it was Bebop. Although Rocksteady is will of course be the first fully fledged boss. And somebody might notice that I skipped the building, which I did. Yep, and you can kill those things, but you don't want to get hit by them because they're gonna instant kill you. And there's even walking around Foot Clan soldiers around here. And don't go to this sewer. It has enemies. Now, I'm not sure how it works in technically, but there are different kind of, you could say, enemy seeds that show up depending on where you... Well, it seems to be random, but there are several, you could say, groups of enemies which appear. Although in this case, it might be that, yep, it doesn't really change. Let's try again one more time, just in case. Yep, this room, this, you could say, stage, lacking the better word, has locked in enemy types. And I personally have a feeling that this game was originally made as a completely different game, but once Konami got the license to make Turtles games, they just changed some of the sprites and writing and used already extant access to some other game that they had already been under development. And then once they got the Turtles, we could say that hey, this game isn't finished yet, but we can still make it. But we can just do some tweaking to it, and we get a full game. Maybe that might be possible. And about the Cowabunga collection, I would say that yeah, it's got a lot of games in it, but most of them are very similar to each other, which I would say does not reduces. I would say it's you could say relative value, because there's very little variety, especially and I would say that some of them have very annoying things regarding the difficulty, especially the tournament fighters with boss battles. Yep, you know how bad fighting game bosses could be. Well, that game has it, and a lot. Which is to say, enemies which foes the computer can walk forward using charge moves. And all that, and of course millisecond timing. But prepare the first boss, and this was Rocksteady was one of the first things that I knew I felt fear when I played the game. That yep, he was terrifying first because the surprise and the fact that he took more damage than anything I had encountered, and does a lot of damage. So yeah, it was a real sense of triumph when I first defeated. But now. And there's a trick to defeating him, which I'm not gonna use. But let's just let him attack and have a grand fight. Yeah, he runs around, he dashes with his horns, he stops to shoot at you. And here's the trick. Just standing here and smacking down with Donatello allows to... But he went down. And April gets rescued. She getting kidnapped and then subsequently rescued is more of a walking gag or running gag. Alright. And now comes one of the, you could say, more infamous stages of this game, which has a sudden gameplay shift towards the swimming section, aka the dam. But I would say that this is not the most difficult or annoying, obnoxious part this game has, and this game has quite a lot of those parts. So this one is not even near that. Yeah, and we got a chainsaw guy. As a mini boss. No, the chainsaw does not actually do damage, so only smacking into him walking does damage, which is nice. He doesn't have a big hitbox. And now it's a nice little detail. The basic music changed when I got in here, and of course using pizza recovers health. There's 3 kinds of pizza: slices, which heal 2 bits, halves, which heal of course 4 bits, and full pizza, which heals all of it, which is to say 8 bits or chunks. And another mini boss encounter against a regular Foot Clan Mook, which went down like nothing else. Playing this with an analog stick is kind of fiddly. Makes ducking bit janky. And occasionally there's a chance to get some extra weapons, of which there's 3 kinds of enemy drops. There's the basic throwing stars, then there's the crippled throwing star, which is better, and then there's a boomerang, which does return and you can recollect it, making it that way a bit more handy. And there's also some extra location find secret scrolls, which have various names, but they just look like scrolls, and they are most powerful attack in the entire game. Something akin to a smashes right through the enemies, and that would be quite a difficult jump, but nothing too impossible. And if you fail, well, try again. So now I'm at the top of the dam, and when I look at the map, oh yeah, there's Bob. So time to swim. I would say more infamous section of the game, but not at all the more hardest. And going down there is an instant death, which I am not gonna show, even though the Kawabunga collection has a very convenient rewind function, allowing me to just go there and die. Actually, let's just show it. Like that. But using the rewind system, hey, I am back in the action again. Yep, bombs are, well, you have a timer, and then that seaweed gives electric shocks, meaning you get damage from touching it, so you don't want to touch it. And of course those spinny thingies also cause damage, so avoid that too. Then there were these electric beams. Avoid them too as well, they do damage. Practically almost everything here does damage. And they all do basically just one chunk of damage. Returning from that, not that easy. Very much difficult maze, but using the magnificent ability of character switch to full health. Yep, turtles don't share health, which is awesome, allowing you to basically tank through quite a lot of sequences. Not all of them, but quite a lot. I mean, assuming that you know how to keep switching around. Oh, that was kind of bad move from my part. Get through that. Alright, now there would be one bomb left, a bomb, which is over there. So bringing out Leo for the final stretch. Yep, the most infamous stage of the game passed. It sounds quite crude manner, but functionally okay. Yep, but of course this game has 6 stages, so this was just the second one. So let's just enjoy this lovely cutscene. Yeah, that was the first antagonist Turtles ever faced in comic books, and he was killed in his first appearance as well. But because of his impressive design and all that, he's become the most important arch enemy they faced, which is fine. And here's the level 3, and look at the map. It's huge and it's got a lot of entrances, but it's not as bad as it looks. It's a misdirection, but new batch of enemies, new mechanic of the party wagon, which is say their car. Yep, they wanted to sell toys, so of course they would have an appropriately themed van as well, which really kills the idea of trying to be stealthy or subtle. And but that would be it. And here's a piece of pizza. Oh yeah, and some creepy running eyeballs. Yep, this game has some weird enemies. And some walking fire guy. Some of these were, quite much of these were mentioned in the manual, that's what they are, but not all of them. Which of course amplifies my idea about that this game was basically designed to be a turtles game. And the fire guys, fires are nicely animated, even though might be quite simply animated, they still look nice in animation. Where manual says that yep, they're gonna become new ones of that, but in gameplay, nope, those fires just bob around. And a bit more difficult jump, and there's also an alarm noise when you have very little health on that one specific turtle, which is very annoying, but this is not the only game which had that kind of mechanic. And this would be a very difficult jump, but it isn't. Just do the Mario trick. Walk across one tile gaps, which is a mechanic the developers definitely knew, because they're gonna add some very difficult segments, or better say, not necessarily difficult, but very scary segment, which you could say in something like a Mega Man game, which does not have that mechanic of walking over one tile gaps, or one block, one tile, whatever word you want to use, gaps. In other games, that kind of one wide gap, dropping into one of those on purpose would be very easy. In this one, they know it is not that easy, so because if you want to do it, you have to slow down your walking when you are going, and that could be quite difficult occasionally. But in this stage, basically the navigational idea is to go counterclockwise against the clock. And here's a couple of, and you basically always want to go to sewers to get progress, but in this stage it would not be purposeful. Let's just go in, and there's another little creepy walking dude, but what he does, nothing. Just walks around slowly. Although once I struck him, he became smaller and started to run faster. And once he gets very small, then he becomes very tiny, guys, and runs around very quickly, which is not what you want. And there would be the scary, deadly scroll attack, which I want one of those, because it's gonna be very needed. Oh, a lot of fire guys. Yep. The Cowabunga collection allows to, gives a little bit of upgrade, or let's say allows to make use of a little bit of upgrades, which is say remove slop, fight flicker, and get rid of slowdown when there's lots of stuff on the screen, like there was. And interestingly enough, all those fireballs or something count as boss fights pieces, so that would be that. So let's just give my favorite Raphael the deadly scrolls, because, and of course, you really don't need to start big fighting against every enemy of the game. And this would be, and the rope which I just picked is also a unique well, I say it's not unique mechanic, but it's a mechanic only used in couple of stages, which is to say stages 3 and 4. So let's just try to make a nice little hop over there, and instead of walking all the way back, fall to the pit and get driven away. But this game had got quite many ports on various systems, and in some of those ports, falling there, those were actually not just something that kicks you out of the stage that you could make use of as a practical little travel method. They were all actually instant death pits, which was a quite unpleasant surprise for somebody who had played this version first. So yeah, game was designed to be very much played on Super and the regular NES. So playing now with the analog stick really, but I would say that this is not the most refined game as much as controls go. Although they are not, in a sense, unresponsive. I would say that they might be too responsive. Yeah, that there are these also, and of course, unique mechanic to this stage is that there was these brick walls that you could use. You would have to use rockets to blast through them. But I'm already at the center of the stage, which is also implies that yep, I'm already at the end of the stage. Yep, this stage is way more scary looking than it is. Oh, Leo's in a very bad shape, and of course, although it might be just the era this game was made in, there are plenty of this kind of enemies that just spawn right in front or appear right in front of you, and then they just start attacking you right away. And because enemies don't get any sort of knockback, it's gonna be quite facing them can be quite difficult. And here's another of the, we could say, more difficult jumps of the game. Yep. Up. The game's giving out the throwing stars like candy. But there's luckily a little bit of a half pizza to take. Yeah, let's just let that foe walk into the death pit. Walk there. Walk there. Bully, 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 bully. So I would say that this game is quite... The reputation of this game being very hard is not completely unfounded, but it is not also completely true. Although in personal sense, I would say that it has a nasty spike of difficult. It has a couple of, you could say, difficult spots, or you could say almost unreasonably difficult spots. But the difficulty is not generally, you could say, not much of a curve in this game. It's much more of a wall, although there's been a couple of spikes in it, but it's very much something that, yeah, you got through this nasty spot, alright, that's it. The game's there's no really difficulties left in this game or any difficult spots after this game. That you got through this, rest is just smooth sailing or not. It depends on how you define it. Having to deal with these not necessarily the most sharpest controls is one thing, but it really is not that much of a big deal. Yeah, and the fact that Michelangelo can't do any upwards attacks is kind of annoying. So now we're at the roof and about to face a turtle, and of course Yeah, the Mecha Turtle. He's got quite a lot of damage, health. So let's just bring out Donatello and why Donatello does more damage than the others, I don't know. Because when you would look like logic, if there would be anybody who should be doing extra damage, that's Leonardo, because he has a sword. Others have blunt weapons, he has sharp weapon. Well, although the manual says that Raphael's size are sharpened, which they should not be, but that might be. In its traditional form, Sai is blunt. It has a rounded tip. Or you could say it's quite sharp, but not sharp in the sense that, yeah, you could use this as an assassin's weapon. Unless, of course, you would smash it into somebody's eye. And I don't think... And in that case, even human hand itself is a sharp weapon. So let's just get a piece of pizza. So level 4, the airport. First stage was basically city streets. Second stage dam. Third stage more streets, or better say, wider area of streets. And fourth stage the airport, JFK airport. And there would be another of these ropes, just in case, because this is the only phase in the game where that rope system is brought to play. So I really don't know what's the point of it, unless of course, unless the level design was that, yep, we have this mechanic which others might be completely missing. It's written in the manual and all that, so it would be something that, yeah, we have to basically use it at this stage, even though it has no bloody point. Yeah, just spin it. Although in stage 3, where it was not mandatory, you could have get another set of scrolls with it, but no matter. Well, that's like it. So let's just show what happens when you are stupid. Oh. Can I actually walk off? No, I can't. Oh, I could. Yep. You get booted out. From the game. Or from the stage. Oh, so I summoned some enemies in with my walking around stuff and managed to make it a bit more inconvenient. So yeah, you get hit on walking on the rope, and you're gonna get and game's gonna notice that, yep, you're not in the air anymore, and it's falling down. And yeah, there's these kung fu guys just walking around doing jumpy kicks. Yep, that's this kind of that little critter just showing up right in front of me is this kind of game, and of the fact that only one turtle has a means to smack it out of existence just like that with their personal weapon without getting damaged. If you have, you could say, truly really fast reactions. It's kind of annoying, but once you look at this stage maps, oh, it's got a lot of these separate red areas. But you could say, in a general sense, this is also, you could say, I say that this is case of this video game misdirection. It looks way nastier than it is, although this game, this is quite nasty still anyways. So Michelangelo smacking with his nunchaku. Yep, and the intro spelled it wrong. It's not nunchuku, it's nunchaku with A. 2 U's and A. I would say it as much as traditional weapons of Kobudo goes, yep, they all these. Well, sword is not so much basic weapon of Kobudo, which is to say Okinawan fighting style of using weapons. Although 3 of their weapons are swords, well, swords are swords. They knew about swords, but as their basic weapons were confiscated, they really didn't necessarily have access to swords. So basically they would be there's 3 peasant weapons and 1 weapon of foreign ruling class. But well, and of course, knowing that basically just how the Eastman Laird originally invented these weapons, well, they were something like I don't remember the source, but the comment was something that we were just a couple of drunk guys high throwing humanoid toddlers with weapons. But I do know that the first sketch regarding this now very loved and I would say also qualitatively very uneven franchise was basically Michelangelo. Humanoid toddlers with a nunchaku. Yep, that's it. That was the idea. Yeah, they started. Turtles have started as parody. They were parody, so there was very much of this kind of superhero parody. That's why there was so much of this kind of. It's really strange that when something is made as parody, but it still happens to be so well crafted of that specific genre it makes parody, it becomes taken seriously as work of that specific genre. And I think that's the case which happened to Turtles. It was not meant to be too serious, although it really proved itself to be, well, serious enough, I could say. You could say, if the word might be the term. Game hasn't given me that much of these alternative weapons, but they really are not that necessary because most of the fighting in this game happens very close distances. Yep, and this stage has these very short segments of basically just single room, and also these longer walking segments either. So, was it here? Nope. Yeah, that was really impressive. Yeah, it looks like I'm at the biggest open spot of this area, maybe of the entire game even. Yep, the big runway. Oh, now that's low. You can barely have time to see what the hell is going on, and then you get hit already. Yep, this game has lots of this kind of, you could say, low blow design parts. And those airplanes drop bombs. Well, yep, here to not going there. And this stage also has actually some, you could say, alternate routes. But going here, the basic is of course simple as that. You started at 0 to 1, now you're going upwards towards get higher numbers and you get forward. And that place going forward. But yeah. And I do remember seeing this screen at the box rear box. And this is, you could say, one of those days that now look at all this shit's going on this screen. There's spikes, there's conveyor belts, there's death pit, there's enemies. There's just so much everything going on in this screen. Yep. And that scroll over there, I would say it's a trap. It's something that, yep, you can't get that even without taking damage. Even if you would land perfectly not to that one block between those things. Yep, for some reason the hit detection says that, yep, you're gonna hit the spiked box even if you land perfectly on that block. So I'm not gonna get there. And of course magnets pull you, but luckily not from the ladders. So ladders anchor you vertically, or to the horizontal position of where you are. So That's kind of neat. Not going there either. Well, here's pizzas, but well, got some extra. Got some health from that. It took Donatello took a little bit of a hit from that, but nothing that can't be that he can't just shrug off. Yep, this stage has. I would say that this stage does not has difficulty of this stage is not because of the actual action, but it's the sheer attrition. This is a long stage, and it's got a lot of this kind of enemy encounters for you to face. Which of course means that, yep, you're gonna get, and all these little damage bumps you're gonna take, they're gonna accumulate quite fast, or I would say they accumulate quite mercilessly. And because they accumulate, well, yep, that's a death bit, not going there, not even demonstrating it. Yep, not there, even though there would be quite some. Actually, let's just go and demonstrate this. Oh, well, I got. Yep, there's a you could say an invincibility power up, which makes you a spinning ball of death, which is quite fun. Although it only has a couple of appearances in the entire game. Not as bad as in some games which had mentioned about something that, yes, there's this one specific mechanic which appears maybe once in the game or is needed maybe once in a game. For example, original Legend of Zelda had raft. There's something like maybe 3 or 4 places in the entire game that you can use the raft. Although raft had to be used in one stage. Yeah, but now this is a prelude to the most difficult part of the game. Yep, you have to manually control yourself past these little bits of hole. This time not hard, you're given a chance to practice it. Those are death. And there's a bait of that triple throwing star, and here's even a bigger bait of pizza. I don't know, can you get it? But I'm not gonna even risk it. So, entering count to 17, right to 18, and that would be a boss fight against Big Mouser. He looks big, being background thing. It shoots lasers, opens mouth to spit out Mousers, and that's it. It does nothing. So, it's ludicrously easy boss. Just go behind it, and use the up smash of Donatello and you can take it out real fast. So I'm gonna show a little bit of a trick. Because once it has spewed out its guts of Mousers, it doesn't die until the final Mouser, or this kind of weird crab monster, as it shows in this game, is killed. It's a funny little detail. But dramatically, its head explodes. So, airplate is code. Another little prominent thing. Yep, they wanted selling toys, even bigger vehicle. Oh, and this stage is, I would say, it is not a maze, but it has a couple of buildings, and also, interestingly, it also has 3 sewers, and those buildings are basically red herrings. You don't need to go there unless you want to get mangled and maybe get some bonuses. But yeah, and that's the Foot Clan insignia. But the sewers are where you want to go, and there's new set of enemies, and they are dangerous. They can take a lot of damage. And this stage is very much, you could say, when somebody is doing speed running, which they getting through the game as fast as they can be, and then posting time, boasting, and trying out different kind of locations. This stage is, I would say, it's a run killer, because it's a matter of random where the actual main boss is. With good luck, I'm getting through this stage already, and if bad luck, I went the wrong direction, and I have to. Good luck. Bad luck. So yeah, it wasn't here, and now I have to get out from here. And this stage also has unique mechanic, or unique music. And these breakable blocks are also, I would say, unique mechanic to this stage. It's not that necessary unique mechanic, but still, it's a neat thing to notice that there's unique mechanics. And this stage, yeah. And unlike many other platforming heroes, turtles can't grab hanging ladders, which means this game can have one-way routes like these ladders. Yeah, and then there's a spike monster. Well, luckily you can smack through floors and walls with your weapons. So it's not, you could say, completely ineffective or useless. Alright, come here. I really didn't want this to have to walk through this stage like this. But luckily there's a little bit of slice of pizza I have over there to get through. Interestingly enough, when it's a matter of the later writers going, is that of course making the fact that Michelangelo is the goof off, he's the silly one, always trying to basically find the joke, be the humorous and all that, but also and the fact that he also has the well, actually it is not the technically most demanding weapon, even though Nunchaku is not that difficult weapon to wield or master. It's actually much more a grappling tool than a striking tool. And also something that, you are not meant to use it pairs, because that's when you just basically smack it. Nunchaku has actually, as weapon, has lots of grappling potential. It's a weapon of grabs, and you grapple with it. You use it as a pincer, as a tool to grab things. Take a hold, squeeze with the handles. Of course, you can smash somebody's skulls in with it, but that's basically not what it was designed. optimized for or optimal for, which is quite rarely remembered thing about. Yep, it's not a striking weapon, it's a grappling weapon. And also it is not something that it's gonna bounce at you after you have struck something with it or someone with it. Yep, got struck. Hope the boss is here. It is. Yes. Kind of surprised that it was, but not much necessary. Say hello to Technodrome. Now, and it's got several segments of damage. The main drill doing blasting out some electricity beam damage. But oh shit, I took a lot of damage. Oh yeah, I took a lot of pain damage. Yep, I'm using the... Yes, I'm using the I abused the... But strangely enough, Technodrome was basically added to, you could say, franchise, although the aliens were not alien creatures and were not. They were present already in form at the original stories written by made by Eastman and Laird. Although the Technodrome was later added as a, you could say, the main headquarters of one specific kind of alien creature called Krang. And it was later made into alien species called Krang. But no matter, Technodrome is the headquarters. So, but in this game, strangely, there was a Technodrome. Although in manual it was called Technodrome Guardian, that boss, and it was also something that there's no Krang in this one. So let's see. Can I get to this final stage? Yeah, this stage is the hardest. And call it merciless would be understatement. It's the most difficult stage, and if I actually run out of health in this stage, it's game over. If you can't get through this inferno of a stage with 4 turtles, you are definitely not gonna get through it with way less turtles, because you really can't have any. There really is no chance of getting. There really is no chance to get through the stage without damage, because of the occasionally very, very, very stringent now why they made this at this stage have the friendly music, I don't know, but of course Technodrome's final stage also has some extra little paths you can take. So I'm gonna go through the upper path. And of course it would also have unique sets of unique enemies as well, like that. Yep, you really can't get through that bastard without taking a hit. And this stage has quite lots of that kind of extra little annoyances like that to deal with. So it's not really pleasant. Yep, and I'm taking that thing down. But luckily the hitboxes are, you could say, quite friendly in this game. Yeah, that wing thing goes down. If you try the regular jumping past that, you would run into it, jump into it, and get hit, and that would be bad. So, but there was another set of these scrolls, which is quite nice. Another one of those jumpy bastard things, which I really don't like meeting. More of these, not even bothering to face them in battle. Jumping and ladder down, which means that, well, let's see, Michelangelo 1 bit, and Leonardo as well. Let's give it to Leonardo. A full piece of pizza, yes, needed, very needed, for real, not exaggeration. So just using the boomerangs as a that. Those jetpack guys, I would say I call them, they more or less are the most dangerous things in the entire game. As much as, oh well, Technodrome has dangerous things all over the place, but those things might be the worst. So let's just grab this and just smash through. I don't think you could have any other chance to get through that. Oh, that was kind of a necessity. Yeah, the original plan was to just get through this normally, and the game is already showing that. Yep, the end is approaching. Yeah, and I know that those who are really good at this game get through this in about 20 minutes or so. I'm taking almost an hour. Alright, There it goes. But luckily those ones can be allowed to spawn and then just walk away. And if I recall right, there's one little, you could say, mini-boss right before the final boss, which is, say, Shredder. Yep, there was. Well, now he goes down, so it will be a final boss time against Shredder, and he is basically one-hit kill. Arrives with a big, fancy, dramatic style of lightnings. Walks around. He has this gun he uses, but unlike other bosses, he takes knockback. So, took something like 4 rewinds to get it through. Which is, I'd say, quite good ratio, knowing that I wasn't doing that there. Now we talk, yep, defeat the Shredder, blah 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 blah. And no, Splinter can't do it voluntarily. Yep, that was it. Lovely animation. Yep. And shoddy translation as well. Yeah, that was it. Shoddy ending, but this is good. And I would say this is one of the few, you could say, designed to be one-player game, Turtles games, which, well, most of them are basic arcade games. So that was it. Wasn't that easy, but went through. See you later.